Hello everybody, my name is Brian Gaylord and I'm a Senior Account Representative with Briggs & Stratton Service Group. Those of you who've worked with Briggs for a long time probably remember my predecessor, Wayne Rassel, but I'm part of the team now and I'm going to be walking you through our dealer update regarding Spec consolidation. So how did we get here? Well, as many of you know, Briggs & Stratton's a 114-year-old organization. We've had thousands of customers with a diverse range of engine requirements as well. Needless to say, with that wide variety of requirements, our customers have asked for some pretty outrageous things when it comes to engine customization, both in speed, exhaust, any different component that they could swap out. We've certainly been asked the question. Well, in an effort to meet those needs, what's happened is we've ended up creating over 6,000 unique models, types, and trims. I'm going to refer to those as MTTs for the remainder of this presentation, but literally those are unique engine identification part numbers, so to speak. So what you'll see here is basically in an effort to provide as many choices as we could to our customers and to meet their needs the best way possible, we created a bunch of choices. Choices just like you would see in your local supermarket, just like the picture I've got here. I'm going to talk to you more about the consequences of those choices as we move forward. So first, let's talk about consequences of variety. Obviously, most decisions have positive and negative consequences, and variety for us is no different. The pro to our variety was that we had the ability to customize any engine to the needs of our customers. That's still going to stay a pro as we continue through time. We just won't be customizing the engines on our production line, but the engine can still be customized through the use of genuine OEM parts, such as governor springs, that you can order through PD after the fact to customize your engine. What you'll see here, though, is we had a lot of cons with our current process and the amount of variety that we were producing. This created exponentially more components that we had to source in stock. We had frequent line changes from one spec to another that involved different parts. When you think about that, these engines are coming down an assembly line. If I have the parts right here to build this particular engine, if a new model comes, well, now I have to grab all different parts. So there's obviously a lot of time that's consumed in those changeover processes as well. In addition, it created difficulties in scheduling and adapting to change. All of this led to extended lead times. The real easy way to explain this and understand it is if you were to look at the bottle that's pictured on this slide, you'll see all of those green and blue circles that are within the bottle. The best way to think of those circles would be to consider them as a part of an overall engine. That mix of all of those green and blue circles that are in that bottle is going to produce the engines that come out as the little green circles down at the bottom of the bottle. In essence, what we've done is think of the lottery. The easiest way to explain this is as you add variables and as you add different components to an engine, the requirements go up exponentially. And what I mean by that is if you were trying to match one ball in the Powerball, it wouldn't be that hard, but matching 6, let me tell you, that's a big deal. It's the same with making engines. Again, you look at a recoil. A recoil could be used between multiple different engine models. There's no issues there. But a governor spring, that could be specific because you're looking at a specific engine set speed that you're looking for. So again, it's all things that we can maneuver and change to try and gain some efficiency and more increased throughput. What you'll see is currently our variety has led to extended lead times, particularly looking back to August and September of 2021. Kind of in the peak of COVID, we had a lot of COVID-related absenteeism at our facilities that did add to some of these lead time increases, but we did also see component shortages from a lot of our suppliers. Now, one of the ways this has been explained to me in the past was on your average stand-on mower, there's approximately 700 parts that make up that stand-on mower. If one of those parts isn't available or isn't ready at the time that that mower is being produced, you can't build the mower. It's really no different with an engine. We have fewer components, but there's still somewhere between 80 and 100 components on your average engine. And if we don't have one of those components, in many situations, we're not able to actually build a completed engine. So why consolidation? Why are we going through this process? Well, our goal is to cut from about 6,000 SKUs or MTTs, as I mentioned before, down to about 1,200. What is this going to do for us? This will allow us to minimize line down situations. Obviously, we don't have the changeover where you're swapping components as much. We aren't going to be jumping from MTT to MTT. And also, we're not going to be focused on engines that we produce extremely limited quantities on throughout the course of a year. We are focused on higher volume, higher needed products. Again, as I mentioned, this will help us with line down situations. Obviously, you buy in volume, you're sourcing much larger shipments from our component suppliers. It just helps in terms of consistency with production. In addition, we will also simplify our procurement and manufacturing because we don't have as many components to buy and we don't have as many components to necessarily put onto an engine in the manufacturing process. This will help us streamline production, increase throughput, and overall, we will see a reduction in lead times as a result of this engine consolidation initiative. So here's just a broad overview of our engine consolidation steps and what we're hoping to get to in terms of our finished product here. As you can see on the left-hand side of this page, you'll see that currently our Auburn facility is producing 30 different types, models, types, and trims of engines at that facility. In the future, that'll be cut to 17. The greater impact and the far more important portion of this chart is actually the center part of the graphic where you see current and future option values. What you'll see for the Auburn engines is currently we have 2,512 different variable components that can be used to build an engine. We're going to cut that list down to 1,600. Again, this will make building engines much more efficient. This will make our production much more efficient, our sourcing, everything, with the goal of reducing lead times. So what does this look like? What you'll see here is this is a spec comparison of two specs that Briggs & Stratton had for the longest time. What you'll ultimately see if you look closer is the spec on the left has actually been inactivated. It's been deactive. It's an obsolete spec. We're not going to produce it anymore. We're not going to utilize it anymore. What you'll see is the engine on the right is actually our active spec. This is a spec that if a customer placed an order for today, would go into our regular production queue and would be produced in accordance with our lead times as they stand. What you'll notice between these two columns, the left and right, is there are very, very few differences between these two engines. As a personal example, about a year ago, I ran into a very similar situation where I was comparing two specs, and the only difference between the two was one of the engines had a purge port and the other did not. Obviously, a purge port's not going to affect engine performance. It's not going to affect how an engine's used. So again, there wasn't really a need for us to create two specs, but at some point we got the request to do so and we did. So now we are correcting those mistakes of the past, so to speak, in an effort to increase our efficiency. What is this going to do for our production? How is it going to impact our production? So what you'll see on this slide is on the left-hand side, this is an example of a build planner that we all see internally here. And this particular build planner is for our Auburn facility. What you'll see here is on the left, there's a slew of MTTs listed vertically there in the leftmost column. Those are all different, unique engine model numbers. Those engines are all, again, unique. There's nothing that crosses directly from one engine to the next. What you'll see here, though, is our production schedule is shown here for the month of August of 2022. You'll see about halfway down, the first column after all of the engines are listed there, the first week of August, we are building one engine of that MTT in the middle of the page. That for us is particularly problematic for multiple reasons. First, we've had somebody source components to build one engine. It would probably require the same amount of time for us to source components to build 50 engines. And so obviously building in larger quantities is something that we're after. In addition, if, for example, in this case we're building one engine, if there was a component we didn't have or we were unable to build that engine for any reason, I now have to find one engine to drop into that vacant production slot. It's much harder to drag and drop onesie, twosie engines into our production schedule. It's difficult and it's cumbersome. So again, the goal through consolidation is that you'll start to see larger quantities as you do moving forward to the right in this build planner. You'll see here, I would consider a sizable build anything of about 50 engines or greater. If there was a component issue related to 50 engines that we were supposed to build and we didn't have them, very easy for us to say, okay, we'd like to build these 50 engines instead, drop them in. and you're no longer making changes for onesie-twosies and spending a lot of time to get very little done. So again, the goal of our consolidation efforts here are that we're going to reduce the likelihood of component shortages simply because we won't have as many components that we need to order and stock for production. It's important, and I want to expand on that a little bit because there's basically two ways that we need to get these supplies and components. We need them not only for production, but we also need them for service needs. Well, our production needs have a strong sense of urgency. These engines, in a lot of cases, customers have been waiting for a long time to get. And these engines, we need to get them produced and shipped as soon as possible. Service needs, how many times is somebody going to need a governor spring? You could have 50 of them, and the bag of 50 could last you 5 years. So there is a difference there. The point I want to make, though, is that you still have the same ability to customize your engines after they're received by you. You just have to do that through ordering genuine OEM parts through power distributors, and then install those parts on your engines to achieve the customization that you were looking for. Again, this will add to ease of scheduling production. It'll make us more nimble. We should be able to make changes in our production schedule much faster if we have a lot less SKUs that we're dealing with. Same time, this will also produce line rate improvements for us, and those line rate improvements, the more engines we produce per day, the more engines we produce over a finite period of time, and the quicker and faster we can reduce our lead times when it comes to engines. I'm now going to provide you with a couple individual product updates. I'm going to run through each of our facilities, starting with Poplar Bluff. I'll also go through Statesboro and Auburn, and I'll wrap up with our Chinese engines here. So again, taking a deeper dive into each one of our production facilities, I just wanted to show you some of the transitions that we're going to see as a result of the Spec Consolidation Initiative. What you'll see is on each one of these slides, on the left-hand side, you'll see our current state, which lists all of our engine models that we're currently producing. Some of those engine models you'll see are listed in gray, and they've also got a line that's struck through the text there. That indicates an engine that is going to be obsoleted throughout the spec consolidation process. What you'll see is there's timing provided in the middle of the slide. That timing isn't firm, it's not set in stone, it's kind of a goal date for us. So I just want to make sure that you're taking that into account as we move forward. And then what you'll see on the right-hand side is, again, our future state. These are the models that we will continue to produce following this spec consolidation initiative. So again, in this particular instance, as you can see, we eliminated the E350 and E500 models over on the right, and we are just going to produce the E300, E450, and E550 models on the right moving forward. Again, looking at our EX and EXI series, which is our 140 to 190 cc engines, you'll see again we've got a model here on the left that's grayed and crossed out. Looks like that change is slated to happen later this year. And again, you'll see our future models that we'll have on the right-hand side moving forward. Same thing with our PXI series. This is our 190 to 223 cc series. And again, you'll see we basically just eliminated the middle model, and we'll continue to operate with the PXI 850 and PXI 1000 moving forward. Moving on to our Statesboro facility. Again, these are our singles. This is our 344 cc to 540 cc engine series. What you'll see again on the left is you've got a couple models that are grayed and crossed out. And then moving forward, you'll see that we've got fewer models after the fact, after our obsolescence date, which is slated for later this year. Looking at our Auburn facility, at our twin production line, this is our 656 cc engine series. What you'll see here is we are eliminating the EXI series on the left, as well as a PXI and a CXI engine as well. And again, we'll just be moving forward with the EU 7160, EXI, PXI, and CXI 20 horse models. Continuing through twins at our Auburn facility, again, this is our 724 cc and 810 cc engines. Again, you can see a handful of models on the left-hand side that are grayed and crossed out. They're going to be obsoleted later this year. And then we've got the series of engines that we will continue to move forward with on the right-hand side, which includes our EXI, PXI, CXI, and our Vanguards. Looking at our SKU consolidation over in China, again, we do produce engines there, both in our BLTE and JD facilities. As you'll see, again, we're obsoleting 2 engine models out of the BLTE production that's featured here. Some of those dates have already taken place. You can see obviously April 1st, 2022 is listed, and we do have a date pending again later in the year. For contract manufactured engines, these would be the engines produced at our JD facility. Again, you can see the obsolescence engines on the left, the date that they are going away, and then we will be moving forward only producing the XR550, XR1450, and XR2100. We'll also be consolidating our snow engines as well. As you can see, we've got a 250cc and a 400cc model that are going away. Moving forward, we're just going to carry 127cc, 208cc, 306cc, and 420cc engines. Same thing, we've also gone through spec consolidation with our small block and big block lines. This is our small block line. Again, you'll see the small blocks on the left produced in Statesboro that are being obsoleted. Those are graded and crossed out. You can also see the future dates for obsolescence are all coming up with regards to small blocks. We haven't really touched these yet, but they are next up on our list. And then on the right-hand side, again, you see our future state with the engines that we will continue to produce and sell on the right. Lastly, looking at our big block, again, you'll see a lot of models here that are grayed out and crossed out. The important thing to note isn't that we are eliminating engines altogether. It's that we are transitioning primarily from our Model 54 to our Model 61. So a lot of these that you see that are crossed out and being obsoleted are part of that Model 54 series. We're just obsoleting them because most of our customers at this point, in all honesty, are using the Model 61 already. So we just kind of want to push that agenda a little bit and further that along. Lastly, I guess to close here, because big blocks is the last one we're going to take a look at. Again, these changes are forthcoming. They are ongoing. These timelines are not set in stone. Obviously, if anything changes, we will communicate at a later date. But for the time being, these are the engines that we do plan to consolidate to. And again, this is going to be a step in the right direction for us to reduce the lead times that you are currently seeing on engines. Again, I would encourage you, if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to reach out to your source of supply. Thank you again for your time and attention with this presentation. I hope you found it informative. And again, if there's any questions or anything that I can certainly do to help in any way, do not hesitate to reach out. Thanks and have a great day.